Somewhere off a busy shipping lane, under 200 feet of water, a black cylinder the size of a fridge sits on the seabed. Silent, cold, signal-free, it waits patiently. 3 sensors inside: a magnetometer for magnetic fields, a hydrophone for engine sounds, a pressure transducer for water depth, run in parallel. A steel hull overhead shifts all 3 readings. It matches the target profile and launches a 1,200-pound warhead in seconds. 40 years old, fully functional. The contact mine. This is the one you've seen in cartoons. The black ball with the spikes sticking out of it. It looks primitive. It looks like something from a war that ended 100 years ago, and it is still killing people in 2026. The contact mine floats just below the surface, tethered to a concrete sinker on the seabed by a steel cable. The cable is usually set so the mine sits 1 to 5 meters underwater, just deep enough to slam into a ship's hull. Each of those spikes is called a Hertz horn, and inside every horn is a small glass vial of sulfuric acid. When a hull bends the horn, the glass shatters. The acid drips onto a lead-acid battery plate, completes a circuit, and detonates 200 to 300 kilograms of TNT. No electronics, no power source that runs out, no way to hack it. It worked in 1917, it works today. Over 100,000 unexploded mines from World War I and World War II are still drifting or anchored in the world's oceans. Most have lost their tethers. They float freely. They wash up on beaches in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East every single year. In 2005, a Turkish cargo ship hit one in the Black Sea. The mine was 60 years older than the ship, but the contact mine has one fatal flaw, and the Germans found a way to remove it entirely. Influence mines. The contact mine had one fatal flaw: it needed you to touch it. Navies figured this out fast. Sweep the cables, cut them loose, shoot the mine when it floats up. So engineers asked one question that rewrote naval warfare. What if the mine never needed to be touched at all? That question created an influence on me. A weapon that sits on the seabed up to 600 feet deep, packed with 1,000 to 2,200 pounds of high explosives, and detonates based on what your ship emits, not what it strikes. Every ship leaks 3 signals it physically cannot hide: a magnetic field, because the hull is 8,000 tons of steel; an acoustic sign, the constant hum of engines and propellers is detectable from 1,500 feet away; and a pressure wave, because it displaces water. Influence mines come in 3 types that hunt each other. First, the magnetic mine. Inside this mine sits a magnetometer, a small device that constantly measures the magnetic field of the water above it. When a ship passes overhead, those 9,000 tons of steel warp the field. The mine reads the distortion, and it fires. Germany deployed them in 1939, and they sank 79 British ships in just 4 months. The mine measures Earth's magnetic field down to 1 nanotesla. When a steel hull distorts that field, it fires a warhead that can crack a destroyer's keel in half. Navies fought back with degaussing, wrapping ships in copper cables carrying 2,000 amps to cancel the magnetic signature. In 1991, the U.S. Princeton, a billion-dollar Aegis cruiser, hit a single Iraqi magnetic mine in the Gulf. The mine cost roughly $1,500 to manufacture. The repairs cost $24 million and took months. Second, the acoustic mine. The acoustic mine sits in water up to 60 meters deep. Inside the casing is a hydrophone, which is basically an underwater microphone. It listens for the specific frequency of a ship's propeller and engine. Every class of ship has its own acoustic fingerprint. A destroyer sounds different from a cargo ship. The mine can be programmed to ignore everything except the exact target it is hunting. When it detonates 500 kilograms of explosive on the seabed, the blast creates a massive gas bubble that expands and collapses against the hull above. That bubble can literally snap a destroyer in half. This is called the keel shock effect, and it is why a mine 30 feet below your ship can be more lethal than one slamming straight into it. During Operation Starvation in 1945, the United States dropped roughly 12,000 acoustic and magnetic mines around the coast of Japan. In just 5 months, those mines sank or damaged 670 Japanese ships. Then the nightmare, the pressure mine. When any ship moves through water under 200 feet deep, it creates a hydrodynamic phenomenon called the Bernoulli hump, a measurable drop in water pressure beneath the hull, sometimes just 50 pascals. Germany deployed the first one in 1944, the Oyster mine. The Allies had no counter. Sweeping gear couldn't replicate a ship's displacement signature without literally driving a real ship over it, which meant losing the sweeper. Today's versions, like the US Mark 67 SLMM and the Russian MDM-6, sit in 300 feet of water with 1,200 pounds of explosives. One mine can rupture a destroyer's keel in a single blast and deny an entire shipping channel for months. The mines so far have one thing in common. They stay in place. This one itself becomes the hunter. The Captor/rocket rising mine. It's called the Captor, short for encapsulated torpedo. The US Navy developed it during the Cold War, and it entered service in 1979. The concept is brutally simple. You take a Mark 46 torpedo, seal it inside an anchored capsule, and drop it onto the seabed in water up to 800 meters deep. Then you wait. Inside the capsule, a passive sonar system listens. For months, for years. Battery life on the original Captor was rated for around 2 years of continuous standby. When it detects the acoustic signature of an enemy submarine passing within roughly 1,000 meters, the capsule opens. The torpedo launches, and it actively homes in on the target at 28 knots. The mine doesn't kill you. The mine releases the thing that kills you. So even if your sonar maps the seabed and finds the anchor point, the killing weapon comes from somewhere else. The Russians took it further. Their PMK-2 rocket rising mine, which entered service in the 1980s, replaces the torpedo with a rocket-propelled warhead. When a target is detected directly above, the warhead launches vertically at speeds over 80 meters per second. From a depth of 200 meters, the target has less than 3 seconds to react. A modern destroyer cannot turn, cannot deploy countermeasures, cannot do anything in 3 seconds. So why does a 100-year-old weapon still terrify modern navies? The numbers. A mine doesn't have to explode to win. The mere suspicion that mines might be present can shut down an entire naval operation, costing billions in delays. The numbers prove it. Of the 19 US Navy ships seriously damaged or sunk by enemy action since World War II, 15 of them were mine victims. Not missiles, not torpedoes, not aircraft. Mines. And look at the cost asymmetry. A modern Tomahawk cruise missile runs around $1.5 to $2 million per unit. A torpedo costs hundreds of thousands. A WWI-era contact mine, a few $100s in materials. A modern influence mine, a few thousand. Yet that cheap weapon can credibly threaten a $13 billion aircraft carrier. Now scale that globally. There are over 1 million sea mines of more than 300 different types in the inventories of more than 50 navies worldwide. More than 30 countries produce them, and over 20 countries export them. Worse, a weapon from 1917 can still sink a destroyer in 2026. That's the dark genius of the mine. It's cheap, it's patient, it's deniable. We spend billions on stealth jets, hypersonic missiles, aircraft carriers the size of small cities. But a rusting cylinder on the seabed can erase any of it in a single second. And it's still down there, right now, waiting